Mm, mm, mm. All right. Good morning. Man, I hope your morning is going groovy for you so far. I know for some it's still a little too early to tell. Some of y'all it's in the afternoon and you can say, hey, yeah, man, I did have a rocket morning. Thank you. All right. So let's see. I tried. I tried to put a disclaimer out there. Facebook don't want y'all seeing my post. So let me tilt that just a little bit there. So I tried to put out, as a courtesy, I tried to put a disclaimer out there, letting folks know that this chapter that I'm going to be doing ain't going to be, it's parental advisory, is definitely recommended for this chapter. So I tried to put that out there for y'all. What's up, Malachias? I tried to put that out there for y'all, and most of y'all didn't see it. Most folks didn't see it, but I tried. So forgive me if there's any surprises in this chapter as we go through it. So at any rate, we are going to be talking about Genesis 38. That's where we are now. As we read these chapters, as we read the Bible chapter by chapter, verse by verse. I'm not here giving any sermons or anything like that. I'm just inviting you guys into my study, just showing you how we roll. This is kind of what it's like, when we study. So on Monday, when my wife and I study, this is just what it's like. So, but on Mondays and Fridays, we just invite you guys into our studies. And so, even though I may come across a little preachy, it's not, necessarily my objective to be preaching to anybody. This is just, what goes on in my head and just what comes out, as we read. But the bottom line is you're going to hear the word of God. We're going to read it. If my opinions or my observations don't square up with it, then may the Lord help you to forget anything that I may have said and just focus on his word, because it's his truth that is the bottom line. With that being said, let's invite and let's welcome the Holy Spirit to counsel us, to train us, to educate us, edify us, strengthen us, for his glory, Lord, so we can get out there and do what rocks for him, and be excellent to each other, excellent to folks, make the best and the most of freedoms that he's blessed us with, to help point people to him, because, he is the way, he's the truth, he's the light. And if people really want that peace, that joy, that prosperity, well, he's nice enough to go and make that place for us. And for those who believe in him, we'll be there. We'll be residents in it. So let's get that word in us, y'all. So that day will come. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, y'all. Let's see. So just real quick for y'all who are joining, I just want to give another quick heads up. I tried to put out a disclaimer that this chapter right here, we're going to be talking about some sexually heavy topics. So folks are kind enough to watch these, with their kids and stuff like that. And if you got any youngins, in the room right now, hey youngins, Uncle Zoe gonna be talking about some stuff. You folks might not want you to they might want to listen to this video first before you get to hear it, or maybe they want to filter or something like that. And we talk about anything profane or anything like that, but it's it's subject matter that they may not be ready for you to hear right now, and respect that. All right. Genesis 38. You ready to get down, y'all? All right, here we go. About that time, Judah went down from his brothers and camped near an Adulamite man whose name was Hira. And a Adulamite, hold on, man. See, I didn't have any coffee yet, and I got to get my notes ready. I need some get my notes ready music while that's a good thing. That's what I need to make a note of, is have my get my notes ready music while I do this sort of stuff. And Adulamite, where are we at? There we go. Adulamite is going to be their prey, their ornament, right? It's an interesting, contrast of words there. And its name, it includes their testimony, their prey, their ornament. And Hira is liberty, and it also means anger. Okay? Now, of course, I recommend y'all that you do your own research on what these names mean. Because we're digging back a long way, and we're digging back, as languages are starting to take shape and stuff like that. So even though this is you get these names that they give them to you, I guess, as best they can in like Hebrew, but there's still other languages that are going on. So they got to be able to, come close to what it would actually translate to, in the Hebrew and stuff like that. So, they got to take into consideration, like, the different things that these names will mean. But commonly, you do your consensus, and it's like you try to squeeze it down. It's like, okay, this is yielding that this is what this most likely means. So we got Judah, and that means to celebrate or praise. Let's see. Hey, really quick, y'all. If y'all wanna shoot out a prayer really quick, and send some. And I shouldn't even say this, man, because you carry as horrible as it is. Like my little Miss CJ for keeping me on track, because she be talking to me in class, be talking to you guys. But that's just her being like really, she's the hostess with the mostest. So when I host our Bible study, she's just, she's been, she's mingling with the, the folks and making sure that everybody's good. You want some more tea or something like that. She doing that. But she's supposed to help me keep on track of my notes. But anyway, because brother gets sidetracked like really easy. So, but she's feeling, a little, a little under the weather. And I'm pretty sure it would really lift her spirits if y'all would just give her a little, hey girl, praying for you that you'll feel a little bit better. So if you don't hear her giggling in the background or something like that, it's she's feeling a little under the weather. Anyway, all right, y'all. So where were we at? We were at there. Judah saw the daughter. Okay, and Hira, which means liberty or anger. There, Judah saw the daughter of a Canaanite man, whose name was Shua. Keep that in mind. His name was Shua. And he took her as a wife and slept with her. Then she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. And he named him That's a heck of a name. It's why you gonna name it? Why you gonna name your son which incidentally means awaken. And so we got Shua. And this is going to start to sound a little bit more familiar to you. His name is Shua, which means to cry out or salvation. So let's see. Then she became pregnant again and gave birth to a son, and she named him Onan. She gave birth yet to another son, and she called him Shelah. What kind of name is that for a boy? It's like well, you got a lot of them being born today. Anyway, stop it. So all right. I say that in love. I say it in love. He was in Kizib when she gave birth to him. All right. So let's back up a little bit. Shua. Start to sound familiar? Jesus is kind of like the English Greek. Don't let people tell you that it's you don't call him Jesus. You can't call him Jesus. You can call him Jesus. We know who we're talking about. It's Jesus is kind of like the English loosely Greek way of saying, and one of the reasons why we don't say it in Greek is because, well, it's confusing on how to say it. It's like lesu, lesuis, lisu. Is Jesus in the Greek. And the Greek, Lisu, was translated from Jesus's name in the Hebrew, which in English, we pretty much say Joshua. In the Hebrew, it's Yehoshua, or some say Yeshua. And even in the Hebrew, it could be said as Yasha. And this person, Shua, that's also included in the name of Jesus. Shua, which means itself salvation, or to cry out for salvation. And what does Joshua mean? God saves. So you got Judah, the line that Jesus descends from. Jesus comes down from the line of Judah. And right now, this lineage, okay, so this is going back to Shem, right? Shem is going to set up your Hebrew line, your Hebraic line. And during the course of this line, we're going to get to Judah. And Judah, his father-in-law is Shua. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing Jesus on the front end, and we're seeing him on the back end. We're seeing Jesus set this thing into motion right now through Judah. He was there. Now, I'm not saying that Judah's father-in-law was Jesus. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that ain't it interesting that Judah's father-in-law would be named Shua, which is included in the name Joshua, Yehoshua, Yeshua. That's him. I mean, that's not Jesus, but that's Jesus setting this thing into motion through the line of Judah. All right, let's see. And she became pregnant again. We got and which was what was that? Awakening. And then we got Onan. I think Onan is like a wealth, prosperity. Let me see. Where you at, Onan? Yeah, vigor, wealth, and strength. Hey, that's Onan. Sheila is request. That's what request Sheila means. Quit. I ain't gonna make no more jokes. All right. And then Kazib, interestingly enough, is falsified or lied. This is the land that they were born in. Okay? As it says, she gave birth to yet another son and called him Sheila. He was in Kazib when she gave birth to him. Interesting, because we got a lot of people born today, born in Kazib, because they're saying that this is how I am. This is what I was born as. This is what I was born. And interesting enough that this person's name is Sheila. And these people are, and more we're seeing people being born in a, blaming being born or blaming their orientation on, how they were born. And they're born and that's a lie. It's like they've born themselves into a lie, into a fallacy. All right. Let me see. Then Judah got a wife for how's that for a topic for Pride Month? All right. When Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name, then Judah got a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was evil in the eyes of Adonai. Now, let me back up again really quick. Okay, so now we're starting to see these building blocks, right? We're seeing how Jesus is setting this thing into motion. God's setting this thing into motion. Who is Judah's father-in-law? Shua. Shua meaning to cry out for salvation. This is the name included in the name of Jesus himself. Joshua, Yehoshua, Yeshua. All right, and then from there, we're going to get Tamar. Tamar means scarecrow. What is a scarecrow? It's a humanoid figure. And this is a picture of God taking on a humanoid shape. And what do they do with scarecrows? They hang them on crosses, right? They put them up on a crossbeam. So you're starting to see the picture of Jesus taking place here. Scarecrows have been used as far back as ancient Egypt. Oh, and where did God call his son from? Hey, interesting enough, it would be the Egyptians who were credited for like the earliest usages of the scarecrow. So we got Tamar. Her name also means tree. Where was Jesus? When the Bible, what it is often say that Jesus was hung on? He was hung on a tree. Okay. So interesting that these things will be starting to stack up as the building blocks of our salvation is being made. Let me see. But Judah's firstborn, was evil in Adonai's eye. I mean, this kid must have been like really rotten. This young man, he must have been like super rotten. Okay. But Judah's firstborn, was evil in Adonai's eyes, so Adonai put him to death. I mean, like what kind of evil, I mean, it's like you just wonder, like, what kind of evil was this person into? Well, we know one of the things that, because this isn't, it's like God put him to death, like himself, like personally. All right, he personally put him to death. He didn't have him stoned or anything like that. So it's like, it makes you wonder. It's like, dude, what was he doing that was so evil? Let me see. Discuss amongst yourselves. What could he have done? Because my imagination, I guess I just can't go there. I just couldn't possibly. Stay out there. All right. His firstborn, and her name was did evil. Okay, then Judah said to Onan, go to your brother's wife to perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her and raise up a seed for your brother. Onan, you get on up in here, man. I need you to report for booty duty. You've got a duty as a brother-in-law. Okay, so now, Onan, go to your brother's wife to perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her and raise up a seed for your brother. But Onan knew that the seed would not be his. So every time he went to his brother's wife, he would destroy it on the ground. I threw it on the ground. That don't even sound right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Cast the seed on the ground and he would destroy it. Let me see. The seed for his brother. What he did was evil in Adonai's eyes. So he put him to death too. Whew. Okay. So now we're seeing, in this culture, because, the thing is, God knows how we are, and don't get it twisted, because people be trying to say God makes us the way we are. No. What God made us is people having free will. That's what he made about us. What we do with that free will can either please God or displease him. All right, we're free will agents, y'all. And so when people keep talking, well, that's how God made me. That's how God made me. It's like, no, God made you to have choices. And you can make good choices or you can make bad ones. He didn't make us to be robots, y'all. We talk about this a lot. We understand this as, you really in Christ, you understand that God didn't make us to be robots. All right, we have a choice. And so, this whole thing about, God, makes us who we are and stuff like that. It's like, no. And God can even, and while you're living and while you're conscious, yeah, God helps to shape who we are. Does say that he smite, he puts us in the fire and shapes us. As the saying goes, it's like, what's up with God sitting, having us in the fire and shaping us as silver? And it's like, how do you know? It's like, well, God, because, when you get that silver shape right, you can see your reflection in it. That's what God wants to see. He wants to see his reflection in us. Right? So yeah, God, when people talk about, I was born this way or God makes us this way, it's like, God, can be shaping you all through your life. And, and he also uses our choices to make this shape. So like for me, I'm like, yeah, actually, I want God to shape me. That's my free will choice. Like, yo, Lord, shape me. Let's do this. And I hope I'm not so knuckleheaded where I got to stay in the fire so long and just keep burning in it, until I realize that, hey, he just wants to see his reflection in me. I hope I'm not that knuckleheaded. All right. I'm trying not to be, because I'm a knucklehead deluxe. Right. So, but, this is, for using that excuse of, God, made me who I am and stuff like that. It's like, that's a cop out. But this cat, Onan, like I said, God knowing how we are, God has to, he makes certain, provisions, and he makes certain exceptions for us. This is Er's brother. All right. This is his brother. And even his brother, his blood brother, doesn't want to carry on this duty for his brother. Right. So, for women, and women, they were treated like, second class citizen, or treated like property, or just, it's one of those things where women were highly, highly prized, but at the same time, low on the totem pole. It's one of those kind of things. Okay? And men just tend to, just don't know how to act right. So God is like, at least, your brother, because if you're a widow and you just go ahead on out there, chances are other men just going to treat you like a dog. You're going to be destitute. All right. So I at least want you to be able to go to your brother and at least be able to carry on the lineage for your belated husband. Okay. So, God wants to, and this is a part of the way. And one of the reasons why this is really so very strict is because this is God's way of making sure that the genealogy is recordable. All right. This is how tight this has to remain. Okay. So that way, when Jesus steps on the scene, one of the things that people are going to be looking at is genealogy. All right. So with the Jews, genealogy had to be ironclad, man. And this is one of the reasons why God didn't play with this. It's like, look, I need you to carry on this line. All right. This is serious stuff. We're talking about the work of eternal salvation here. All right. God is going to be very meticulous about this. And if you step outside of his ordinance with this, when he's trying to do this work, God is going to, it's like that person is going to catch his wrath, because people be like, God's going to kill that one person. Yeah, this act right here could cost the lives of millions. All right. That's why. So when you think it's like God in his mercy is trying to protect the salvation of billions of people. Millions is shortcut. Sorry, billions. God is trying to protect the salvation of billions of people. All right. And it can hinge on this one person. And if you step out of line with what God is talking about, God will have that person put to death because that person right now has affected the lives of billions of people. All right. So now, let me see. Now, here's the deal. Okay, now this is one of those verses that, the traditionalists will use this verse to suggest that masturbation is a sin, right? It's like the biggest, it's a big sin, big sin. Don't do it. You'll go blind, or God will strike you down, all that sort of stuff. This verse speaks nothing of that. This verse is let me see, the punishment that befell Onan wasn't because of spilling his seed on the ground. His punishment was straight up because of disobedience. Okay, he was given instructions and he didn't follow the instructions. That's really what it comes down to. Okay, kind of like how with Adam and Eve, your instruction was not to eat from the tree. All right, well, they ate from it and God said, okay, well, you guys are going to die. And in this right here, it's the same thing. His instructions were to carry on the bloodline for his brother. And he refused to do that. Has nothing to do with him spilling the seed on the ground. Nothing. All right. Now, when you get into the later laws, you'll see that, like bodily fluids and stuff like that, doesn't matter if it's blood or semen or whatnot, it's considered unclean. Not necessarily because it's morally unclean, depending on which fashion the discharge came in, but in the fact that, and you'll learn in the medical industry, all blood or not all bodily fluid, period, is suspect. You don't trust nobody's bodily fluids. Okay, so in the Bible, for preventative measures, and medical professionals will tell you that the best cure, I guess, is prevention, and the Bible speaks a lot about that. But a lot of these people tend to hate it. So in this right here, we're talking about, this discharge, that's not the punishment. So, for the traditionalists who think that masturbation is a big sin, that's not. So, now one would say that, but doesn't Jesus say that, because in order for a person to engage in a selfie, don't you have to have like your imagination going? Don't you have to be lusting after somebody to do that? Well, what Jesus says is when a man looks at a woman lustfully, right, starts to entertain that sort of stuff, he's committing adultery in his heart. Jesus let you know, it's like adultery. You don't have to even touch a woman to commit adultery. All right, but in order to commit adultery, y'all, you have to be married. Right, to commit adultery. And when Jesus says, so basically what Jesus is saying is like, look, if you're a married man and you're entertaining like sex with another woman, that's adultery. All right. Your woman wouldn't want you doing that. So some people be like thinking like, hey, well, what's going on in my mind and what she doesn't know won't hurt her and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, exactly. If she did though, it would hurt her. Okay. And would you want her thinking about somebody else sexually? No, it would hurt you. Hey, you'd feel cheated somehow. So, that's why Jesus is like, hey man, don't be selfish. I mean, let's get down to the nitty gritty. If you look at another woman, another person lustfully, you've committed adultery in your heart. All right. So, now from there, so that's when we talk about, well, how does this play out in masturbation? How can you masturbate and not be lusting after someone? If we're talking about the Bachelor or the Bachelorette, one, when you first saw the person that you would be married to, if you weren't having thoughts about that person, I would say there's probably something wrong with you. Okay, I don't think God is like, gonna be offended, or Jesus is gonna be offended if you're looking at the person that you're not married to them yet. You're not married. You're still a bachelor. You still want to procreate. You still want to have a family and all that sort of stuff. You want to have sex. And you're thinking about this person, and on their wedding day, if you're not thinking about your wedding night, I don't think y'all need to be married. Okay, so you mean to tell me that when Adam himself, when he saw God bringing Eve to him, he wasn't thinking, dang, oh man, it's like he's starting to get some ideas. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're married and you're doing that, with another person, in your mind that ain't your spouse, Jesus got issues with you. All right. So how does this play out in terms of masturbation? Now, I'm not saying that a person should just go get selfie happy, because you can abuse it. Right. It's kind of, because God does give us the instruction to be fruitful and multiply. It's kind of hard for you to be fruitful, if you're online, like looking at porn and stuff like that, instead of getting out there and getting work done. All right. So when God says be fruitful and multiply, that's not being fruitful as in just go have a bunch of kids. God wants you to be fruitful. God wants you to be productive. All right. God wants you, he wants you getting out there and providing good products and good services. He wants you to be able to provide for your family. That's why he says be fruitful first and multiply. Get your house in order. Get your thing together, and then have a family. All right. So you can't really, and if you're going selfie town, all the time, it's kind of difficult to do that, because one of the things that you're going to be doing is you're going to be rubbing out your self-esteem. So you don't want to be abusive with that. Now another, and we're gonna get a little further into Awkwardville, in terms of masturbation. As far as the female is concerned, another way that that God isn't going to punish you for masturbation itself. Because let me say this really quick. Like I said earlier, there are things that God allows. Certain things that he, it's not something that he prefers, but some things that are acceptable to him. What do you think God would prefer? And I'm going to talk about this a lot in my audio book. Certain details I'm not going to go into in my book. Sorry, A Solid Right Cross. In terms of what people do for sexual release, and but. On the short end, I'm just going to say that, what do you think God would prefer? Do you think God would prefer a man just go ahead and engage in masturbation, or go out and rape somebody? Which do you think he prefer? Hey, I think God's going to be, because God knows that we going to have some urges. We need, it's like, it's a release that we need. It builds up. It's like, dude, I need to get rid of this. All right. I need to get it out. All right. What do you think he would prefer? Or do you think this, or a person who's attracted to children? What do you think God would prefer? Do you think God would prefer that they go and have their sexual release? And when you read my book, you'll understand why I put it in some quotations. Sexual release with the child, or masturbation? All right. What do you think God would prefer? That a person would go and engage in homosexuality, bestiality, incest? It's like, look, God's like, why don't you just, just rub one out, man. Don't do that. Don't defile yourself and another person. Okay, just keep that to yourself. So there's exceptions, that God will make. Another reason why I would say this is because now look at the women. And remember how I was talking about the value placed on women, and that comes with the value placed on virginity. All right, for with a woman. Virginity was highly prized, and that's not something to be looked down. It's like, we've come to stigmatize virginity, and people aren't even consistent about it. All right, people aren't even consistent about virginity, because for those who put such a who ridicule people who put the high premium on virginity. If that person isn't a virgin, that same person will turn around when they're angry and call that person all sorts of demeaning things, whores and, sluts, and stuff like that. They'll do that because, because that's their way of demeaning them. But at the same time, they'll make like it's no big deal to be a virgin. So people are just very inconsistent about virginity as it is. But in this, you can see that God made provisions of this just by examining the female anatomy. The female anatomy, on her wedding night, you're looking for the signature of her virginity. Now, a woman burns with sexual urges just like a man does. Now, if she engages in masturbation by way of penetration, this is a means where she can rupture her hymen. Now she can't prove her virginity. All right. So
that was a death penalty back then.
Yeah, and you know that could be punishable by death if you lie about it. Okay. You know, I mean, you can, because the thing is, because just really quick, because that's one of the things that the feminists try to use against the Bible. It's like if a woman is not a virgin on her wedding night, she'll be stoned to death. A woman is not stoned to death for not being a virgin on her wedding night. That's a lie. The reason why the woman is brought to her father's porch and stoned to death is because she lied about it. All right, that's why. Her being not being a virgin isn't the capital offense. Her lying about it is. Okay, because her lying about it, y'all, this opens up the window for clan wars. All right, it's like, hey, she was not a virgin. I want my money back. It's like, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's like, hey, are you coming in? Are you insulting our daughter? It's like, you better back up, honey. Go get my. It's like, strap up. We're getting ready to go to war here. This person just insulted my daughter. You know, and it's talking about he wants his money back. Okay, then that's when you get in the clan wars. So there's gonna be some blood. There will be blood. All right. So this is why God's like, if she lies about it and she puts tribes to war over her lie, is by doing that, stone her on the porch. So it's not over her not being a virgin. It's about her lying about it. But in certain cultures, yeah, a person can be put to death for not being a virgin. But anyway, the hymen that's good. Breaking the hymen is the signature of this person's virginity. Now, a woman has sexual urges too. And if she's got to wait to her wedding night, years go by. So what does God do? God gives the woman the clitoris. This way she can have release without breaking her hymen. All right. This is the mercy of God, because God knows, like, if a woman can't prove her virginity to her man, that she can keep her hymen intact so she can have the signature of virginity. God gives the woman the clitoris. Right. And she can use that, to keep herself in check so she doesn't burn less and end up doing something that, something either with herself or with someone else that would take away her signature. All right. Now, if you look at religions like Islam with their, female genitalia mutilation, one of the things that they do early on with a woman is that they cut that off. All right. So now in Islam, a woman not being a virgin on her wedding night, it can be punishable by death. Sharia should be punished by death. And they set the woman up for this. They cut off her because she just has to burn with less. That's just it. And she just might I really need release. And she can masturbate, rupture her hymen. Now she can't prove she's a virgin. On her wedding night, her husband sees, you're not a virgin. I really am a virgin. I only broke the hymen. I said, he ain't going to hear that. She could end up dead. They set them up for death. All right. So, and that's just really, that's some serious cruelty. And feminists, where are you? Where are you with that? Feminists is like, the only thing they care about is just, they may speak out against female genitalia mutilation. They may speak out about that, but it's not, that's the only thing they're offended by. They're not really offended by the significance of what the implications of what that is in the culture. They don't even see what that means. All they care about is, if they care at all, is just, in Islam, a woman's clitoris is cut off, early on in her life. That's it. Other than that, they don't have any real outrage. So I hope that kind of helps to clear things up a little bit about masturbation. Masturbation is not some big sin. It can be abused. It's God would prefer that you do that than to defile yourself with someone else. Fornication and having sex outside of his ordinance and his statutes and stuff like that. God would prefer that. Hey, if you're a married man and if you're away from your wife and stuff like that, and you really need to release, you better have a picture of your wife handy. All right. So it's like in that you're not committing adultery. All right. But if you're pulling up porn and stuff like that, that's adultery. All right. You wouldn't want your wife doing it. You wouldn't want your wife, having sexual thoughts about another man. Don't think that it's okay for you to have sexual thoughts about another woman or whatever. All right. You know, because, you know, some people are, you know, like, I was just in I got attacked by a person, you know, boasting in his pride about his bisexuality, you know, and how his wife, you know, loves it and all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, dude, the only thing that you're telling me is that you're greedy. You're just a greedy man. All right. I thought you liberals hated greed. You're a greedy man. And basically what you're telling your wife is that she's not enough for you. You know, but you think that she's in love with you because of your bisexuality. She's a broken woman and you're taking advantage of her. All right. And you're walking all over her, sleeping around with other men and other women, you know, and you think that this honors your wife. No real man does that. And your wife and your wife, and he says that, you know, she's bisexual too and stuff like that. Well, basically what you're admitting is that you're not enough man for her. You know, you guys just aren't enough for each other. You guys are just straight up greedy. And you guys think that you guys are in love. That ain't love, man. That's not love. You guys are just wasting each other's time. All right. So let's see. Now, where were we at?
And really defiling marriage.
Where is that in the scripture? No. Exactly, it does. And, you know, it's
like, why get married if you're just gonna...
Right? Why get what's the point? Yeah, you know, and all they're trying to do is just fill a security void. Yeah. You know, it's like I use you to, it's like, it's the ego. I've got you and I really don't want you to be with anybody else. But at the same time, you know, I accept it because I want to be with other people. Yeah. You know, so it's this possessive, contradicting dynamic that they have. Yeah. It's like, really? And y'all think that's happiness? It's not. It's an illusion. It's an illusion. All right. All it is it's a shallow satisfaction of selfishness. That's really all it is. I mean, to each their own, really. But the problem is, and like I said, just like I said, to each their own. The problem is that this spills out to the culture. It gets into other people's backyard. It just does, y'all. And that's what I'm just like, you know, because we're seeing it all the time. Are we not? Yes, we are. It's like we're being inundated with it. What used to be your own private business is now just becoming public, and it's creeping into our backyard, creeping in our front yard. All right, it's here, and God warned us about this early on, from thousands of years ago. It's like, y'all gonna have some problems with this. Hey, this ain't new. This ain't no new. This ain't some new stuff. This has been going on. All right, God warned us about this a long time ago. All right, so let's see.
11.
Thank you. All right, then Judah said to his daughter-in-law, Tamar, stay as a widow in your daddy's house until my son Shelah grows up. Okay, until Shelah grows up, because he thought otherwise he too might die. So Judah's got a little plan here. Yeah, look, my son's a little young for you. Let's wait till he grows up. Shelah, come on, let's get out of here. And like his brother, so Tamar went and stayed in her father's house. Now the days became many, and Shua's daughter, Judah's wife, died. After Judah consoled himself, he went up to Timnah, to the sheep shearers. He and his friend Hira the homie from back in the day. Let me see, what was Timnah again? Timnah, account, number, or reckon, appointed. Hey, that's this place. Went up there to do some sheep shearing. Oh, is that what they call it? All right, I hope. Never mind. He went up to Timnah, the sheep shearers. He and his friend Hira, the Adulamite. Then Tamar was told, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his flocks." And she removed her widow's clothes. She mad now. She heated. Okay, because she knows that the brother is supposed to carry on the bloodline, you know, according to their culture, and he skipped on her. All right, so covered herself with a veil, wrapped herself, and sat by the entrance to the springs on the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah had grown up. Oh, he's all grown up now, and she had not been given to him as a wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute because she had covered her face. So he turned aside to her along the way and said, "Please let me sleep with you. Let me get with you, girl. You got a nice body." All right. You can't see her face. Please let me sleep with you. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. Let me see. I will send you. Hey, girl, let me get with you. Let me get with you. Hey, look at here. If you let, you sleep with me tonight, I'll send you a goat. You want a goat? That's sexy talk.
I would like that. But I love animals.
That just got, now it's awkward. I'm here talking about masturbation and stuff like that. And she's like, I want a goat. Okay. Now it just got weird. That's weird. Okay. So anyway, yeah, girl, let me give you. I'll give you a goat. What kind of? So let me see. I will send a young goat from the flock. He said. But no, what she asked, will you give me to see? I'll give you a goat. Maybe I just like reading that. I'll give you a goat. I don't know. Sorry. Provided you give me a pledge until you send it. She said. What kind of pledge shall I give you? He asked. Your seal, Jesus, signet bearer.
Yeah.
Your cord and your staff. Staff is like the staff of Aaron. Jesus is associated with the staff of Aaron. You guys might have heard me talk about that before. And this cord is red. All right. This cord is also going to be associated with things like the cord that's going to be hung from the room of Rahab, that red cord, right? So these things are starting to you're starting to see these pictures come into place, these elements come into place to make this picture, all right? It's kind of weird. It's almost like, remember those paintings that there's a guy who paints like a picture of Jesus, or I think and other people do it, and it's upside down, and he's throwing these elements on there, and you can't quite see what it is, and then he flips it over, right? This is kind of what's happening. These elements are being thrown in there. And they're making the picture of Christ, right? And then it's like flipped around and then you see it, all right? Let me see. The more you keep flipping the pages, the more you see the image, all right? Let me see. I will send you.
And you're talking about the Old Testament.
Right? And this is Old Testament. Don't be letting Christians tell you that we're not supposed to read the Old Testament. You got to read the Old Testament. Read it, all right? Let me see. She said, so he gave them to her, and he slept with her. And she got pregnant by him. After she got up and left, she removed her veil from herself and put on her widow's clothes. So once again, when we're talking about striking somebody down, if God is not going to strike Judah down for sleeping with a prostitute, I don't think he's going to strike anybody down for masturbation. Okay? So, once again, y'all, that's not the sin. It was disobedience. Help the brother carry on his lineage? No, dead. All right.
We've got some men in the audience, L. Thomas Boyce and Brian Lee Mayers. Well, we were warned that this is going to be awkward.
Awkward. I need an awkward butt so I can hear it. Awkward. Awkward. All right. Let's see. Where was I at? After she got up and left, didn't make him breakfast or nothing? Didn't make him After she got up and left, she removed her veil from herself and put on her widow's clothes. When Judah sent the young goat, here's that goat I promised you. I had a really good time. I have like a note attached note. I had a really good time. Here's that goat. All right. By the hand of his friend, the Adulamite.
He didn't have a romance.
Yeah, right. To take back the pledge from the woman's hand, he could not find her. He asked the men of her area, saying, "Where is the cult prostitute? She was at the springs along the way." So, cult prostitute, mind you guys, this is in the Canaan area, right? So, sex is just a big market. All right, they got their brothels and their houses for that sort of stuff, but they got their cults, temples and things like that for whatever your sexual pleasure, and and being that this is cult, they build a religion around this stuff, and so for her, she was one of the supposed cult prostitutes, and they cover their face, and I guess this is one of the way that they manage to keep their dignity, so to speak, if they go out in public or whatnot. Maybe this is like some sort of weird burqa, that they would have, or hijab, or full, facial hijab. But, in this instance, they are allowed to engage with other people sexually. So when Judah sent, where was that? But they said, there hasn't been a cult prostitute here. So he returned to Judah and said, I couldn't find her. And the people of that place also said, there hasn't been a cult prostitute here. Then Judah said, let her take them for herself. You know what? Just let her have it. Or we'll be held in contempt. Behold, I did send this goat. I did the honorable thing. I still held up to my end of the bargain. I sent the goat, and she didn't get it. Oh, well, phooey on her. But she couldn't find her. And what does he mean by that? When you break it down, when he says that they'll hold us in contempt for this, another breakdown of it is they'll be laughed at. It's like, dude, you got swindled, man. It's like you wanted to sleep with her so bad. It's like you were really thinking with your junk, dude. You gave her, you gave her these assets. You gave her your staff. You gave her a cord. You gave her your seal. You gave her all that and trusted her. It's like she cleaned you out, dog. So yeah, he'd be held in contempt. So you're an idiot, not just laughed at. But it's like, dude, you're an idiot. All right. So after about 3 months later, Judah was told, your daughter-in-law Tamar has been a prostitute. Look, she's even pregnant by prostitution. Judah said, bring her out and let her be burned. I like your nerve, Judah. What's wrong with you? Okay. As she was being brought out, she sent word to her father-in-law saying, I'm pregnant by the man to whom these things belong. Then she said, do you recognize whose these are? The seal, the cords, and the staff. Busted. And I think it's kind of interesting that Judah, he's like, hey, bring the woman out. Bring her out so she can be executed. Kind of sounds like when they rallied up on Jesus, they said, bring the woman out. I'm gonna execute her. What you got to say about it, Jesus? Okay. And then Judah's like, and Jesus be like, oh, well, I want you guys to think about your sins. And then, this is kind of how this playing out. Like we talked about this before, him writing on the ground, finger of God, how the law was written and stuff like that. And people, speculate on things that he could have been writing. But the bottom line is right here is that only the woman is brought out and nobody is examining their own sins. And then it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need to rethink this. Maybe I'm looking at God. I think I'm looking at God right now, writing something with his finger that sounds familiar to me. And I think I need to take a minute and examine myself. If you'll excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and drop these rocks and I'm just going to back away. All right. And this right here, Judah, aren't you? And what do we wonder? Why is only the woman brought out? Only the woman is brought out. Where's the dude? Right? Because both of them are supposed to be executed. Both of them. But just the woman is brought out. And Judah is like, bring the woman out. She's going to be stuck. He doesn't ask. Notice that he doesn't ask who got her pregnant. He doesn't ask who got her pregnant. So we're just going to stone the woman. And then Judah recognized them and said, she is more righteous than I, since I didn't give her to my son Shelah. He was not intimate with, and he was not intimate with her again. So, after that, Judah's like, okay, we're going to have to break it off. I see that I'm in error here. So Judah recognized his own sin, realized that he's just as simple as she is. So Judah would have been, like when those people, they brought that woman out, Judah would have been one of those people. He recognized his own. You know what? I'm a sinner too. I'm no better than this person. I'm going to try to judge this person. You know what? I need to just back up. We good. So this is a picture of that. All right. When Jesus called them out for wanting to execute this woman. Now, when it was time for her to give birth, behold, there were twins in her womb. While she was giving birth, one stuck his hands out. Let me out of you. All right. Stuck his hand out, and the midwife took a scarlet thread. There's another one of them scarlet cords again, right? Took a scarlet thread, tied it to his hand, saying, "This one came out first." But as he was pulling his hand back in, behold, his brother came out. So she said, how you have broken through? The breach is because of you. And she named him Perez. All right. So he came out saying, "Orale!" Sorry. Perez is really, obviously it's Hebrew name. It's not Hispanic. Afterwards, his brother, on whose hand was the scarlet thread, came out, and his name Zerah. All right, so what we got? We got these elements going on again, right? Cord, the seal, and the staff. And in this right here, we got twins. And I don't know if they're identical twins. I don't know if they're fraternal twins. Yeah. Like say for instance, Jacob and Esau, they weren't identical twins. But in here, so what are we looking at? We're looking at why the cord. We're looking at the designation of who's the firstborn. And also could be because they're most likely they're going to be identical twins. They want to know which one is which. All right. So now here's the thing. Why is this important? Because we know that the blessing and the birthright and the privileges go to the firstborn. All right. So Zerah is technically the firstborn, or is he? He's not all the way out first. Perez is out first. But Zerah is going to get the blessing, even though he was fully born second. All right. So how does this, and we see this played out with Esau and Jacob. Even though Jacob was the second born, Jacob got the blessing by whatever nefarious means, but he got the blessing. And in this right here, you're going to have these twins. One's going to get the cord, but the other one's not. But the other one that doesn't have the cord is born first. Now, Jesus comes down the line of Perez. All right. And where are we going to see that cord again? We're going to see that scarlet cord again through Rahab, right? Hang that cord. And that cord is reflective of the Passover. Hang that cord from your window. Hang it. That way the slaughter doesn't come to your house, because we're about to slaughter everybody in this village. We're going to go from house to house. We're going to go from room to room. We're going 5150 on this place. And if we don't see that red cord, you're going to get slaughtered too. All my men, they don't know you. They're going to come in, they're going to slaughter you. But if we see that red cord, Rahab, we'll pass over. We'll pass over your house. All right, so this is reflective of the Passover itself. All right. So in this red cord right here, you got Perez, and this is the line that Jesus is going to come down through. And we are the ones with the red cord. All right, because when God sees Jesus, when we accept Christ, God sees us through Jesus. All right, that's who he sees. So we're like the twin. We get the birthright. Jesus is the firstborn. Jesus, when we say firstborn, not that Jesus was created or anything like that, or Christ himself was created. He's the premier of creation. He's the firstborn. He's the first over all creation. All right, he's the premier. But that red cord, that birthright, that cord that signifies the birthright, that cord that signifies the privileges of Jesus for us to have access in heaven, all heavenly access. That cord was given to us. That's what that means. All right. So Perez represents Jesus, first premier of all creation. What's up? And us, even despite that Jesus is the rightful obtainer of, or the rightful owner of the birthright, it's given to us. That's heavy, man. That's what God is going to give to us. This is the picture that's being played out here. All right. All right, y'all. We got through 38. Thank you for hanging in there with me. I hope we got something, get out of that.
A couple of blushing moments.
A couple of awkward. All right. Anybody yelling at me out there? Oh. So you're a heretic. You're a freaking freak, man. I'm out of here. But for some reason, I can't help listening. It's almost like looking at something. It's like, but I can't help looking at it.
Brian Lee Mayer says, when I shared this live video to a post, the URL even said live video explicit.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
He says, LOL, I don't know.
Explicit content. You know, and that's weird. I didn't use one curse word. I didn't use one curse word again. And meanwhile, all these other, you know, stuff that the profane content that people put out there, they can put that up and whichever that gets viral and stuff like that. But you know, of course it's sexual content, but there's nothing. I didn't say anything obscene or profane or anything like that.
One other funny comment. CK Carl Gustafson. Olay, I'm calling for cultural appropriation. That right there was funny. Insisting that the Hebrew Perez.
That's right. We can have fun with political correctness. All right. Well, cool, y'all. Thank you so much. And you know, hey, you know, hopefully this is if your youngsters ever have questions about these things, you know, review this video and see if there's a way that you can explain it to them in a way that you're comfortable with, and by all means, you know, make sure you share it with your friends and stuff like that. And I know when you guys try to share the video, the thing is your friends ain't gonna see it. When you try any of my works, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have noticed this, you guys try to share my vids. Usually your friend, you notice that like your friends don't like it or comment on it or anything like that because they don't see it. All right, Facebook hides my posts, so it's really difficult for me to maintain doing these. I'm trying to keep it going, y'all. Trying to be go against the grain, even though they totally want me to stop. They want me to quit. Like I said, they're not going to ban my account. The real knife is letting me keep my account, but not letting people see it. That's the real, you know, knife in the back. But if you guys want to show, you know, get your friends to see it. Every time when you come in, you know, it'd be a real blessing to me. It's just you'll come in and tag someone, even if it's one person. Just, you know, when you show up, just tag a new person each time. You know, I don't want you guys to get on anybody's nerves. I'm a horrible self-solicitor, guys. But, you know, when you guys come in, tag a friend that you think might like it, or tag a friend that you don't think will like it. Say, yo, you heathen, you really need to hear this sort of stuff. So, you know, tag somebody. Because, you know, I ain't going to get no help from Facebook. If I'm going to keep any of these things going, it takes you. Y'all ain't, you know, like maybe just going the extra mile to like maybe tag somebody or tell a new person, then they're just going to be successful at fading me out. All right. So if you don't tag, you help Facebook win. All right. All right, y'all. Be blessed. Shalom to y'all. Lord's blessing with you. Y'all have a awesome weekend. And I'll see y'all on a Monday. Sledge on.